So you were saying to just talk a little bit about the book. So here's the book, because we're doing this to celebrate this book's birthday. It's called Get Up, Elizabeth, and it's the story about how this book came about really quickly was actually that Laura Atkins, who's another editor that we all know, was giving a workshop, and I sat in on it, and she gave a prompt and asked like what ideas we had, you know, that and she was talking, I think she was talking specifically about using nonfiction to inspire fiction, and I just, you know, I'm a history nerd, as most of you know, and I had just finished reading this book about the Tudors and what the Tudors used to have to do to get dressed, which is, you know, ridiculous. So I thought, oh, that'd be really funny if we did a book in such a way that the child who's reading the book or being read to doesn't actually know what this is all about, thinks it's just another child getting dressed, and then it just gets stranger and stranger and stranger and stranger. And so that's how it started. And actually, I might as well do the whole thing chronologically, because then what happened was Amy and I, who had, you know, a 20-year or however long relationship by that time, Amy was acquiring for a couple of publishers, and she asked me if I had anything in my head. And I said, hi, Allison, I'm going to have to just turn your video for a moment. Amy asked if I had anything going, and I said, well, I have this idea in my head, but I'm writing a novel, so this is not a good time. And Amy said, oh, just come have a glass of wine with me. We'll just, you know, chat. So I came and had a glass of wine. I told her about the idea, and she said, oh, well, you know, maybe you could write it up. And I said, well, I don't know. I'm kind of busy with my novel. We'll see. And so then she asked me, she goes, we kind of touch base and have a wine and lunch like quite regularly. So she'd go, before the next one, she said, well, you don't have to write it, just sketch it. Just thumbnail it out for me. And so I did that, and I found it. I just went back up to Fort Bragg this weekend and rooted around in my files, and these were the little sketches of Elizabeth as it got developed. And then, you know, and Amy liked that, and then she said, well, why don't you just kind of write it down? It doesn't have to be perfect. And I said, well, the problem is it keeps coming to me in rhyme, and I've never written in rhyme before. And Amy said, oh, you can do it. Just do it. I'll help you. And so I wrote it in rhyme, and fast forward 2 years, and it's now a book that I can hold in my hand. Thank you, Amy. And I'll read it to you, seeing it's not very long. I'll Get Up, Elizabeth. You see the pictures? Get up, Elizabeth. Get out of bed. There's a big day ahead of you, so wake up, sleepyhead. Off with your nightgown and, off with your nightgown and on with your smock. Time waits for no one. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Let's get stockings on you before you catch cold. If you'll help tie them on, Bess. If you'll only just hold. Wash the sleep from your eyes. Let's scrub that wee face. There's nothing, Elizabeth, like fresh almond paste. Now open your mouth, Bess, for the teeth cleaning cloth. We'll rub it and sit first. Try not to cough. And now for your petticoat. Pop it, stand straight. Really, Elizabeth, you're going to be late. Arms out, little Bessie, so I can pin on your sleeves. Be still now, hold steady. Elizabeth, please. No, I'm sorry, Elizabeth. No mouse in your skirt. Think of the laundresses, the soil and the dirt. Now really, Elizabeth, I've had quite enough. Tip your head forward so I can sew on your ruff. Alas, sweet Bessie, what's to be done with your hair? Your mop's so unruly, I can't see the gems clipped in there. That's it, my little highness. You're presentable now. Her Royal Highness, Princess Elizabeth, give them your best bow. And then there's a passage at the back where all my nerdiness comes out, and I tell you all the true facts behind each of those curiosities that you just witnessed. So that's my book.
I love read alouds. I don't think that we get them enough. And I think that, thank you for doing that. It just is something that I think as adults, we are not read aloud to enough. That's beautiful. What a great story. And the illustrations, what a perfect pairing. Love that. You mentioned Laura Atkins. That is so crazy, just to talk about how connected all of this is. I knew Laura before I even started working at Chronicle, when she was back at Children's Book Press, when I was still trying to get into children's publishing in the Bay Area. We were both volunteering for the SFA Bay Area Book Festival. So I've sort of followed her when she went to New York and then to England, and now that she's back here, it's just, what a thrill. That's great. I had no idea that you were connected too.
Oh yeah, so when we jump off this and get to Q&A and everybody switches their cameras back on, you might find her in the crowd. She did say she wanted to be here to see like the beginning, see it, kind of come out. And see, as I told her that it came from an idea I had when she was giving us that prompt at the Mendocino Coast Conference.
Fantastic. Amy, can you tell us a little bit about your latest child?
I will. So my new book is called Girl on a Motorcycle, and it came out yesterday, which is a long time coming. I started this book back in 2016, and so it was a good 4 years, which is, that's pretty standard for a picture book to come out. So I'm thrilled. When I saw the book, so here's an interesting story just in this age of pandemic. When I asked I was bugging my editor about advances, like, when are we getting advances? When are we getting advances? And I think she probably told me at least 3 times, we're not getting advances this year. It's a different year with the pandemic. Nobody's in the office to receive the books. So we're not doing advances. And it didn't really kind of dawn on me what that meant. Except when the day was coming closer, I realized, like, oh my God, I don't have a book. Am I going to have a book before this day arrives? And so in a panicky mode, I contacted our local bookstore and put in an order for a few copies. Also, one reason, because I knew I was going to be here and I wanted to be able to share it with you. And also, obviously, because I wanted to see it and I didn't know if I'd have books in time. And so I put in the order and thought, oh, I'll probably get it Tuesday, the day it came out. And I got a call like at 6 o'clock on last Friday, from the bookseller, Jeff, saying the books had come in, and I just nearly lost it. I was just like, I was like, how long are you going to be there? Can I come down? And he's like, well, I've got to catch my bus. I'm like, no, I'm coming right now. Stay there. So I raced down. Luckily, it's only about 2 minutes away. And he met me, again, in pandemic times, met me at the door, masked, the lights were already out. He's like halfway out the door to go to the bus with the bag of my books. Like, okay, off you go with your books. You got your books. And I was like, I just needed to like pull it out of the bag and like have the experience of seeing it with someone else, even though I don't know if he necessarily wanted to have that experience, but I forced him to. And I just, it's, as you all I know can attest and agree, this has been such a heavy year, and to get something, the cover itself is just so colorful and bright, and when I pulled it out of the paper bag, I was just sobbing. And thank God for that mask. There is something nice to be said about masks, right? We can hide a lot behind masks. So poor Jeff, the bookseller, was like, okay, off you go, really. So all that to say that I was, it was just a really lovely experience to get the book and read through it. But so my book's a little bit longer than Shirin, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. And this is, of course, her book birthday, but I'll read the first few pages. And because it's so big, I don't know if I'll read and then show you the art. Okay. Paris, 1973. She wants to write and to wander. She dreams of wandering the world to go elsewhere. So one day the girl gets on a motorcycle and she rides away. You can see that. She wears only what she needs: helmet, goggles, a leather jacket to keep out the wet and the cold. She carries her life in a hand-sewn clutch and 2 saddlebags. What to pack? A good pen, a sharp knife, a blank book, lipstick, a bathing suit, a pretty white dress, a pair of sandals, a toothbrush, bandages and tape for when she falls, and she will. So this page shows everything she packed. A little voice says, it's dangerous to go around the world all by yourself. It says, you'll miss your cat, your clothes, Mozart. Another voice says, be quiet, listen to the road. And she does. She listens to the road, and the road says, va, go. She cruises from Étoile to Champs-Élysées. She loops around the Arc de Triomphe. She waves au revoir to the Eiffel Tower, and then she takes off into the world. And that's where I'll leave off and let you experience the adventure on your own if you choose.
That is beautiful. It's about a particular woman, correct?
So yes, so it's about a living, breathing woman named Enfrance d'Hauteville, and she's my first living subject. I think most people I've written about are no longer with us, and in some ways they're a lot easier to write about. But the nice thing about a living subject is I actually got to meet her, which was wonderful. And she's alive and well and living an hour outside of Paris. She did this trip. Okay, so let me backtrack. So how I found her, because it's kind of random, like who is this person? I'm a fairly religious reader of the New York Times Sunday paper, and 4 years ago, I think it was August 2016, there was a piece in the New York Times Style Guide or magazine about this this woman. It was a beautiful photograph, sort of this rosy vintage photograph of this woman on a motorcycle. And she happened to be wearing like this really pretty kind of dainty dress and these Mary Janes, and she was on this motorcycle and like beautiful hair flowing. And I was like, who is this? Who's this person? Like, who does this? So reading the article, I was just like, I think I say in the author's note of the book, I just had this kind of rare, sparkly feeling I get when I feel like, okay, I think this might be a book for me. I just fell in love with her and her story fairly immediately, and reached out to her to tell her story. So that's sort of the background of the book. She when she was 28 in 1972, she quit her job. She was working as a copywriter in Paris, and she quit her job and jumped on a motorcycle and went on a race with 100 other motorcycle riders, all of whom were men, and she was the only woman rider, and rode from Paris to Isfahan, Iran. And a lot of men didn't believe she could do it, or didn't believe she did do it. And so in 1973, she said, look, I'll do it again. So she did it again and jumped on her motorcycle, and this time alone, and retraced her path and went to all of her favorite places. And so the book I wrote is sort of and a key detail is she wrote about it. She's a writer. So she not only traveled the world, she wrote about it. And so she's got a lot of books about her travels. And so I took 2 of her books. And so this book is sort of a compilation of the 2. It sort of combines 2 of her trips in one. So
I cannot wait to read it and about her.